Before I start, I should say I'm doing a reading at Readings Bookstore in Melbourne, Australia, 22nd of May at 8 p.m. There's two other poets as well. I'm not sure when I'm going to be reading. Could be first, could be last, but it'll all be within 1 hour between 8 p.m. and 9. Yeah, I wanted to talk today about bullying in poetry. And I don't mean it in the toxic kind of way. I love when a poet or a comedian, I love it when they point inwards. They'll often point at some sort of flaw that they see in themselves. And it's very universal when a poet or a comedian does that. It's beautiful when they point inwards and point at themselves and they throw mud on their face. And we all get to laugh or recognize it in ourselves. But I also love when a comedian or a poet just points outwards and says, "You idiots." You idiots. And it's not all the time. I almost feel like it should almost be done like a little gentle, not a gentle bullying, can be quite harsh. When a poet or a comedian just straight up bullies just 1%, not the entire time, but just a 1%. I almost feel like I'm more likely, personally for me, I'm more likely to believe the rest of what they're saying, because it shows that they're flawed because they're a bully as well. That's another way, rather than going, I'm terrible and pointing inwards. It shows that the two sides of the same person, that we're all capable of being cruel and also pointing at our own cruelness. But there's something in it that when it's done right, it can be really funny. And I've got no real examples of it to show. I guess one example of it I include in my recent book, You're Going to Be Okay, where I kind of said, don't worry, you're not a bad listener. 99% of people are effing boring. I'm not swearing because this goes on YouTube as well, and they make you pay the price for it. But yeah, I liked that, and I get pushback on that when I posted it before, saying no one's boring. We're all, if you're just not asking the right questions, everyone's got something interesting to say. I almost feel like 1% of who's interesting to me is going to be completely different to 1% of who's interesting to you. And you get older, and I'm not reading all books now. I'm finishing them after 100 pages. If I find them uninteresting or boring, I won't read them all. I used to finish a book, a completist style, from finish to end, from start to end, to give it a chance. And sometimes I'm really thankful I did, because I found 1% of beautifulness at the very, very end, or near the end. Maybe I'm less open to surprises because of that, and maybe I'm going to miss out because of that as well. Anyway, that was just an example. Like, you're not a bad listener. 99% of people are bloody boring in my book. And I feel, and there's not many of those instances where I'm pointing outwards and just like willful, just like totally blaming other people for their shortcomings. But I love it. I love just a little bit of it. A hint of meanness in a book makes me feel like the writer is for real. Because I hate the kind of the fake, I'm so nice. I'm a good person, in inverted commas. I don't believe a word they say. I don't believe anything. And I am naturally a people pleaser. So I love writing because I get to wag my pissed off cat's tail, because most of the time I've got a waggy, happy, out of dog's tail, but I got a pissed off cat's tail when I'm writing, and I need to let it out. I need to sometimes point outwards. But yeah, I don't know how much I can milk this subject for in 10 minutes, but yeah, I've noticed it in my favorite comedians, my favorite writers. They don't do it all the time, and it's just a hint of it here and there. But for some reason, it makes me trust them more. That they're equally as flawed by pointing outwards, and it makes me believe when they point to their flaws as well, when they point inwards. I'm more likely to trust that. And there's so many writers' voices. There's just little subtle things they do that where you go, this is really authentic, but then you go, something's not quite right or something's off. And that's one of the conscious things that I've noticed in writers. Or if they're pointing outwards at easy targets, like the most popular target to point at, I immediately don't trust anything else they say. There's all these. It's so hard to build a sense of trust with a reader, and building that sense of trust too comes with, sometimes I'll write really short pieces, and they can almost come across as fortune cookie wisdom, but then I might explore it in a longer piece later in the book, so a reader can go, oh, this is where it comes from. I don't always manage to pull that off. Sometimes my stuff just comes across as fortune cookie wisdom. There's nothing I can do about it. But sometimes, when I can explain it without pushing the explanation on it in another piece, then it can kind of, that other piece can pay for that pithy little observation when the book's read as a whole. But if you saw it as a little piece on social media, it just comes across as hollow crap. But sometimes those hollow pieces of crap are good as well. And another thing I've thought about recently is how notice a lot of million-selling books are often full of cliches and badly written. According to me, no, a lot of million-selling books are full of cliches. And the older I get, I can start to pick up even the subtle cliches that I weren't aware of. And I've noticed I left a few cliches in my last book and now I would go back and pull them out. But I'm kind of thankful that it's traditionally published and I can't pull it out, because sometimes those cliches work for a reason. It's the reason why those selling books actually sell books, because cliches, while they're kind of a no-no for a writer, sometimes they're useful. Sometimes you need to cobble together a few things here and there. Like at the time, now knowing if I was writing that, I probably wouldn't have included them, but I'm thankful that I wasn't wise enough to pull them out, because it's almost wiser to leave them in, because they kind of help sell the other bits that are way more original. I'm not saying my whole book's full of cliches, but there's probably about 2 or 3 that I'd go, I'll probably take that out now. But yeah, they're just 2 observations. Trust with the reader by just throwing a sort of a spanner in the works, by pointing outwards instead of pointing inwards all the time. And cliches, sometimes they're actually really useful. And I'm glad that I was stupid enough to leave them in. I'm thankful